Dead night shadows creeping, deep in the woods, secrets lay sleeping. Oh, yeah. Squatch-D TV, they're on the case. Steve and Chris, no mystery they can't face. Busting hoaxes, exposing lies. They're the champs of the Bigfoot mystery. Mystery, bringing truth, science, and clarity. Squatch-D TV, they're the real deal. Uncovering the truth, it's time to reveal. Squatch-D TV, take us on your quest. Find the legend, put the rumors to rest. Late at night, shadows creeping, deep in the woods, secrets lay sleeping. Oh yeah, Squatch-D TV, they're on the case. Steve and Chris, no mystery they can't face. Busting hoaxes, exposing lies. They're the champs of the Bigfoot mystery. Bringing truth, science, and clarity. Squatch-D TV, they're the real deal. Uncovering the truth, it's time to reveal.
Welcome to Squatch-D TV, where the truth is first before all else. Join your hosts, veteran investigator, TV personality, and author Steve Kulls, and from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project and the Kentucky Fried Fixes channel, Chris Bennett. Sit back and prepare to take yourself on a journey with the longest-running Bigfoot podcast, Squatch-D TV. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, June 2nd, 2024. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls, along with my co-host right down there, Mr. Chris Bennett. Hello, Chris. How you doing down there?
Man, it's good to see you. Yeah, we've been having some really great weather here lately. How's things been going for you in New York?
Same here.
Good,
Same
good.
here. Sunny weather. Low 80s, which isn't bad at all. Definitely.
Well, I'm never happy to turn the air conditioner back on, but that's okay.
Hey, I don't care. I'll throw a few nickels at the power company.
A few quarters. Oh, man.
What an incredible day it's been. And for those wondering, no,
I know what you've been doing today. You don't want to talk about it too much yet, do
no,
you?
I don't want to talk about it too much. I'll talk about it briefly. But first, I know there was a lot of questions about, I saw it, and thank you, Marty McTighe, for asking me how I hope I'm feeling better. I am. No symptoms of vertigo whatsoever, and I think I know what's causing it, so that will be addressed. So we're all good. And we realized what it was. So I'm pretty sure I got it nailed down. So that's all good, and we can move on from there, and I'm doing okay. And yes, today I did meet on Friday night. We talked about a new investigation, and yes, indeed, I did meet with the subject and his mom today. Went up to the area, and the area is, oh my God, I never even knew, how remote this area was.
Wow.
It's a Sunday afternoon. We're on state land. We saw one car in about 3.5 hours being up there. One car. And that's on a Sunday afternoon. And the guy just drove by and drove back out.
Yeah.
So didn't even stop in the particular area we were. So there's going to be a lot more. For those who are members, we're going to be doing a live stream on Wednesday where I'll be premiering some video, because I'm going to tell you a little secret. I'm going back there tomorrow night to do a little night op. So we're going to hit that and see what comes of that. So we're doing a night op tomorrow out there, and we'll see what happens. I got a couple of secrets too on this thing that I'm holding back, but we'll announce that to the membership on Wednesday.
It's coming.
And on Friday night, we'll be doing a reveal to the subscribers and to everybody else who wants to watch. We'll be doing a little evidence review night, and sure to be interesting.
That's good. You know, I kind of like having the evidence reviews on Fridays too now, instead of just only Bigfoot news, because a lot of times there's not a lot of Bigfoot news going on.
And Jen, just so you know, Jen, I'm going to get working on your little wrench there, because I want to make you a moderator for the channel, because you're always here and always definitely being a cheerleader out there. So we want to get you a wrench.
Yeah. We appreciate you, Jen.
Yeah, we sure do. And
I gotta say,
the chat's hopping tonight.
It sure is.
And we'll do the we'll do the roll call in a second. But the last bit of news I have is we did a mid-cut video this week, Thursday, a little bit later than I had wanted to, about the Bigfoot drama meter.
Yeah.
And as it happened, that was done for a purpose. Right. And not only did it do to convey what was going on, but I wanted to see the reaction, because I knew Mutt wouldn't take it too well.
Right.
Right. Mutt is the guy we are now calling.
Well, yeah, when you expose somebody's obvious hoax, they're not going to be too happy about it.
And
goes with the territory, right, Steve?
So I knew he would react in a juvenile way. That's the synopsis. We talked about that last week.
Right.
That his behavior is very adolescent. You would expect a high schooler, or even less, a middle schooler to
predictable. Yes.
Right. Very predictable and stuff like that. So he decided to lash out again. And guess what? His channel got pulled. Bye-bye, Mutt. Bye-bye. So that ends that. And that was...
It's almost like that was planned.
Right. Yeah, almost. Like I said, he was playing checkers. We were playing chess.
Don't play checkers with somebody who plays chess.
Yeah, you want to say lies about me, you're gonna have to pay the piper sometimes.
But yeah, I did notice that video, and evidently somebody else noticed it too. Pretty good.
Yep. I got, and the funny thing is that guy was so obsessed with me. Yeah. He changed all his channel artwork to my face, his banner header, his.
It was great, man. Yeah. You really got under his skin.
Yeah, you want to talk about a guy that just had total obsession.
Yeah.
And good. I'm glad you did that.
If we can be a thorn in the side of Bigfoot hoaxers, well, so be it.
That's right.
We gotta go. But, it was very, very, very poorly planned hoax too. I mean, it was terrible.
Yes.
Obviously, without even using the software, I could hear that.
It was about a 12-year-old's effort.
Yeah. If that, personally, I would be disappointed if my 12-year-old did.
Yeah, I'd be sending him to his room for stuff like that. Stuff like he was doing. He'd be grounded from YouTube for months. Anyway, let's get on with the roll call of the night before we get on for today's topic, which is Bigfoot. Ding, 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 on the brain. So first in the house, of course, was Relic Common, who said, "Have a great show. Catch it later."
Relic, get you on the replay, bud.
Yep. Walter Kroll in the house. Hello, Walter. Sharon again is going to catch it tomorrow. Sharon's from Belgium.
Yeah,
Relic is from the UK. Sharon's from Belgium. There he is, Don Gumau Jr. Hello, Don. Good to see you. Patrick Hollins from Squatchy, Washington County, my home county as well. Cool. Daniel Weeks, Southern Sierra in the house. Good to see you. Lance Windsor, good to see you, brother.
Yes.
Hartgrove Mitchum, good to see you. And I will be getting to that within the next few days, that questionnaire you sent me. And I appreciate that. I'm really honored to be interviewed in your premiere issue. And we'll take care of that. Charlie Wanton. Hello, Charlie. Hey, Jimmy. And Boris, good to see you, Boris.
Of course.
Little Kilroy is a harbinger of good luck. That's right.
Welcome. Yeah.
Marty McKay, good to see you, brother. Again, thanks for the thank you for the well wishes. Mick is in the house, and no, we will not be doing a Speedo calendar. Nope. Gary Johnson Sr., hello, and of course our good friend Sandwich Savant is in the house.
Sandwich Savant, I love that.
He said it wasn't Sunday with us guys last week. Now last Sunday I ate something that just did not agree with me. My stomach was upset all night. It had nothing to do with the vertigo. That came on Monday. Anyway, Grasshopper in the house. Hello, Grasshopper. A Stormy Light. Hello, Stormy. Good to see you.
Stormy, welcome. Good name. I like that.
Oh, Sharon is actually in the chat. So hello, Sharon, if you're still out there.
Oh, yeah. Good, Sharon.
Arthur Watches in the house. Hello, Arthur. Outback Orchard, another good friend of ours. Diane Trick, good to see you, Diane. Hello. Diane. John, Sasquatch Wizard, Adirondacks. Good to see you, brother.
Hello, John.
Angel Nolan, hello, Angel. Hello, John Fuller. Good to see you. Saying his black guys are still healed up. LOL. Yeah, Don was kind of prodding me at something the other day, and I was completely like in a tiz. And because I've been getting over the vertigo, and I was like, but you know that's a good thing about Don. I can sound off on him. He don't care. You know, so, okay. Yeah. And we got Buttworm. Hello, Buttworm. Good to see you. Jen, hello again. Jen, we're going to be working on your wrench here next couple of days. The other thing, too, is I got to get some of these episodes downloaded so they get uploaded to the podcast versions of the show on YouTube. So, Sandra Piper, good to see you, Sandra. Hello. Finding the Trackway, Bill. Hello. How are you?
Bill.
And I saw...
I know Mike's in there somewhere. Tactical Bigfoot
I saw Mike
Research.
from Tactical Bigfoot Research. He's out there.
Okay. See, Mike.
I think I got everybody just about.
I was lost a while ago.
Now we're getting up. Of course, Brian and Chewy go hiking.
Yeah, Brian.
And Brian, I hope Chewy is doing okay. Those who don't know, Chewy got a little bit of heart murmur. They detected having a heart murmur. So hopefully everything will be okay with the good fellow. We love him. And
oh my goodness.
So prayers, of course, are on the way. And of course, thank you, Mick, so much.
Mick.
And thank you, Walter, so much. Walter, again.
Thank you guys.
You guys are the best.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very honored to have you. Thank you guys. Appreciate that.
Bigfoot Society, Jeremiah's out there too as well. Of course, we got Hartgrove Mitchum out there. Blake Burrows in the house also. Oh, there's Rob from Bexar County Bigfoot in the house.
Bexar County. Very
Jay
good.
Fritz, there's Jay. Jay's lurking out there.
See you, man.
I mean, the chat is really hopping. So I think we got everybody there, and it's good to have everybody on board tonight. And of course, tonight's show is being brought to you by The Psychology of Bigfoot, a guide to understanding Bigfoot claims, now available on Amazon. So, and if you're interested in purchasing the book, the link is down below in the description. Okay, that's enough of the shameless plug.
Trackway, oh my God.
You guys are phenomenal.
Oh, you guys, man. Thank you so much.
And for those who are getting the guest memberships, if you like what you see, stick around. Like I said, we're doing more. And the nice thing is now you guys are going to be in on that Wednesday evidence review night where we're going to be taking questions and talking all about that.
You do not want to miss the Wednesday night evidence review. You do not want to miss that. That's for the membership only. You do not want to miss that.
Yeah, there was a little there's a couple of little gotcha moments in this thing.
Yes.
And that's just part one. We're doing part two tomorrow night. So, and tomorrow night I'll be doing more narration rather than just raw video. Today was a lot of B-roll video, raw video, taking pictures of alleged evidence or possible evidence and stuff like that. So, and of course the witness interview, which we did very much like we did Pat's. We didn't show him on camera, but we had him talking. We could see him pointing. Yeah. And so
not everybody wants their face on camera, you know.
He was actually totally willing, but I was the one who kind of said, for now, let's just
have
you do this. I don't want to overwhelm the kid. He's like 23, 24 years old. So I don't want to overwhelm him that much. Very obviously loves his family, loves his mom, loves his stepdad. So, and Mitch, thank you, Mitch. Mitch joined.
Yeah. Good.
So, so anyway, tonight's episode is about Bigfoot on the brain. And of course, I got the wrong slide up from my side of things.
Well, that's okay.
There we go. So,
before we get started, I just want to start out with a question for you, Steve.
Sure.
I mean, I know you don't have like this academic background to where you're teaching psychology,
correct,
in university or anything. So, what makes you qualified to write a book about psychology and Bigfoot?
And that is the question on a lot of people's mind. Like I said, Chris has read the book. So
twice. Needed 3 times. I needed the 3rd time. I should have done a refresher for today, but that's okay.
So since 1988, I have been arresting criminals. And also for Ray, I also dealt with some paramedicine as well, but I've continuously caught criminals pretty much from 1988 till basically I retired from the system back in July of last year. In 1994, I was trained in the Reed method of interview and interrogation methods. And in 99, I was trained in the Wicklander-Zwolasky method of an interview and interrogation, as well as their neuro-linguistic scores.
Right.
And of course, a couple of years ago, I took the behavior panels course on body language. Now, all of these different courses have common threads, and it's psychology. And the psychology behind why people say things, why people act the way they do, physically when they're questioned, and all of them incorporate different pieces and parts of that. And then what comes of it is the psychology behind why a person does something dishonest. And of course, what this does is it makes me a voracious reader as well. So I start seeing these things as an investigator. You say, why does a witness act this way? How does a legitimate witness act like a witness to a crime? Right. Not only have I spoken to criminals, probably over 3,000, where I'm interviewing them about previous crimes, or in some cases interviewing them coldly to see if they have committed crimes. And I probably have a couple hundred of admissions under my belt doing that particular interrogation method. Right. And it's not a rubber hose and a bright light or anything like that. So you end up getting a very good feeling about when people are lying to you, when they're telling you the truth, when, some of the things they say are like you would be. And hello to Nikki. Nikki snuck in. And so did Billy from Sasquatch Radio. Billy Willard, hello.
Welcome, man. Good to see you.
You guys got to check his show out. Go over there to Sasquatch Watch Radio. Give him some love, too. He's on Monday nights. So you have all these people. And, of course, I have my experiences the last 25 years talking to a number of Bigfoot hoaxers. Right. Some admitted. Some I've even gotten to admit. Yeah. There was the interstate video hoax, I think, or it was one of them in that time period. There was a few of them came out at once. And I remember email exchange. I got the kid to confess over email, right. Which was just a simple trick we use in the Reed method.
So there's academic psychology and then there's applied psychology.
Right.
And you're working on the pool of knowledge from your applied psychology.
Right. My applied psychology. Correct. Now, Occasion Crawler asked me what police department that I work for. I did not work for a police department. I was hired as privately, in some manner as an internal investigator for different chains, retail chains. And I was also a private investigator for many years that did a lot of, about 1,000 insurance claims, where I was actually part of what they call a special investigations unit, where I would go out and actually interview the people face to face on arson claims, burglary claims, auto claims, not necessarily accidents. I also investigated death scene accidents. I've been.
Were you also one of the guys that would hide in the car and take a picture?
No,
with
I was that
lens?
for a very short time. People realized my interrogation background, my interview background, so they moved me into those departments real quick.
Right.
So, and as an investigator, have I conducted investigations which led to an arrest? Yes, I can remember one in particular. This guy had claimed a burglary. I interviewed him. He gave me a list of what was burglarized. But what we didn't know is that I had somebody from my home office look up his prior insurance claim. He had a burglary claim from like 3 to 5 years earlier, and it was all the same stuff on both lists.
Oh.
So he got arrested. We got him arrested.
Got him twice, man.
Right. And you'd be surprised because there have been several times where I've been on with the police department serving search warrants.
Right.
Where they'd say, well, you can recognize the stuff that's missing, or you can recognize, so I have all this, I have the confessions, I have everything going. Okay, now we're going to go serve the search warrant at the third party.
Right. Very cool.
So no degree, no law enforcement, no law enforcement background. Well, that's bullshit, Cajun Crawler. Bye-bye. Done with him.
Well,
done with him.
That's okay.
Yeah, you can crawl your Cajun ass right back to the swamp.
I was expecting something tonight.
Right, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, all I can say is, Cajun Crawler, you're ignorant. That's all I can say. You're the ignorant one, because I know more about psychology than most people do. And it's not based on a degree, it's based on practical experience. And he says there's no law enforcement experience. Oh, really? Well, I've had to deal with a number of different laws. In fact, I took criminal justice in college. Yeah. And
well, at Steve's last job he had prior to this one, he was dealing with law enforcement every day.
Well, Mr. Johnson, that was a question asked by my co-host. What is my background? Why am I reviewing your history to us, Mr. Kulls?
Yeah.
Because Chris asked.
Yeah.
Because mine is based on practicality. It's not based on academics.
Well, although you've had the courses and you've studied the psychology of the criminal mind, it's not like
right.
You have applied that what you've learned and sharing that with us.
Cajun Crawler thinks. Well, let me explain something to Cajun Crawler, since he's been in New York State. You can't become a private investigator if you were just a cop. You have to be an actual investigator. So, yeah. Have I investigated a murder? Absolutely. Have I investigated arsons? Absolutely. Have I investigated burglaries? Absolutely.
PI is bonded and licensed in the state of New York.
Yep. And when you discuss Bigfoot on the brain, there will be some who take great offense and try to deflect back at you out of ignorance. Trust me. And that was from Jeff over at Pine Island Research. Thank you, Jeff. And good to see you.
Welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I've been through active intruder. I actually, for a while, was also a federal security officer at a reservation where we wore combat boots and black fatigues, and that was our uniform du jour. So yeah, I have been through quite a bit in my day, and walk in my shoes for a day, Cajun Crawler. So boom.
Well, I was expecting that.
Yeah.
So let's get started, man.
Yeah. So if Cajun Crawler has any doubt about how hard it is to get a private investigation license in New York State, just look it up. It's not easy. Anyway, let's get on with the program today. So a lot of times we have people that may have or may not have a legitimate Bigfoot experience. And we're gonna talk about that real quick. And Boris is walking your shoes. Is that so we can get it by a truck too? Yep, exactly. You got me laughing on that one.
Stay away from the big trucks, children.
Oh, Bat Mom's in the house. Hello, Bat Mom.
Bat Mom.
So anyway, let's get into things about PTSD. PTSD plays a big handle into Bigfoot sightings. But before we get into the actual meat of PTSD and Bigfoot sightings, I think about people asking, well, why isn't there a photo of one? Why didn't you get your camera out and take a picture of one? Why didn't you get the video camera? Because when the mind sees something, it needs to interpret and extrapolate what they're seeing. You know, the kid I talked to today, my kid, it's because he's in his mid-20s. He didn't even think about his camera, nor would you. What the hell is that?
Right.
And before you know it, it's over with.
Yeah.
Right. So we can understand why people don't get pictures, because that's not the first thing in their mind. The first thing in their mind is, what the hell am I looking at? And that's very natural. If you look at, active shooters, cases where they start hearing the first few pops, there's a lot of confusion as to, what am I hearing? Am I hearing fireworks? Am I hearing firecrackers? Am I hearing, so there's a lot of confusion, and that delay sometimes causes people lives, unfortunately. But that's, another example of the brain delay. Have you ever been driving down the road and looking at something and you're like trying to make out, what the hell is that? Because your mind isn't recognizing it right away. And you get this kind of delay. It's the same thing that happens with the Bigfoot witness. Now, to some, they will end up getting PTSD because let's say Bigfoot is not in your wheelhouse as far as being up there in the head. So you can look at this, and if it's a close enough encounter, it can be quite traumatic to some people. And it plays over and over and over and over in their mind. So everybody gets this, no matter what. No matter who sees a Bigfoot, legitimately, this is what happens in their mind. Is they just keep playing it over and over in their head. And as an interviewer and an interrogator, that's one of the things. And I had a conversation with our witness today about this as well. Is that I'm just trying to get more out of it by trying to run this over my head. I go, don't stop doing that. Yeah. Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up maybe putting in detail that did not happen. Right. And that can happen. Yeah. I'll take your first report as what happened, and that's no more. I don't want to hear any more than that. I don't want you to think anymore, because now you may bring out detail that may not have existed. So, you have to take that into consideration.
Pat makes a good point too. Yeah, Pat says, without my extensive training on observation and reporting, I would have gotten much less out of my Sasquatch sighting. My training kicked in right away. Yeah.
And you don't know how many handcuff classes I've been to by law enforcement. No law enforcement training. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I took forensics in college. I took criminology in college. I took criminal law in college. I took business law in college too. So I know that end of the business as well. People like that aggravate me. I shouldn't let them aggravate me.
No, don't. Pete said, I've been driving down the road with my blinker on.
Well, I'm glad we have your attention.
Who's done that? I've done that. I've done that.
Oh, yeah. So, again, and we talk about PTSD and people who are Bigfoot witnesses. How many times does it play over in your head over and over again? Yeah. Flashbacks, reliving the traumatic event as if it were happening again.
Yeah.
Happens all the time to all the Bigfoot witnesses. Sometimes they have, distressing dreams over it. Sometimes they have unwanted, distressing memories of the traumatic event. Now, that's one of the things I want to circle about. And the one underneath, emotional distress to intense emotional reactions to reminders of the trauma. And then, of course, you have increased heart rate and the physical reactions. Some people will stay clear of the areas. I'm not going back up there. Nope, not stepping back up there in that land at all. Again, steering clear of places, people's activities, objects that trigger memories of the traumatic event. Sometimes people that's, hunted in a particular area, J. Freds, they have this sighting and it's so traumatic on them. They're not going back in that area. Nope, not doing it. Sorry, ain't doing it.
When you have a sighting and your mind can't wrap itself around what you're looking at, that causes some bad trauma.
Well, especially if you think you're right in front of, and welcome, Sassy Squatch Girl. Good to see you.
Sassy Squatch.
Think about if you have a real close-up encounter. You're scared. You're like, oh, yeah. You got an 8-foot boogeyman in front of you for all intents and purposes. Right. That you were told growing up as a child that monsters don't exist. And this is looks like a monster. We know it's not, but it looks like one. Right?
You grew up believing all your life these things don't exist. And then when you got one standing in front of you,
right,
the mind does funny things.
Right.
And I've talked to a lot of witnesses. That would not go back to the area where they had reported the sighting from. No, not interested, not going.
Right. So yeah, you want to avoid, obviously, you want to avoid that area. Now we talk about hyper arousal, kind of a stimulating subject. Thank you, Martin. If you let's put the reckless or self-destructive behavior away. Hey, listen, I know a lot of people who've had the Bigfoot experience and they go off the rails. They're in the woods all the time. And you have the exact opposite, the polar opposite. They're in the woods all the time. Now they're engaging in, I gotta find it again. I gotta find it again. You get that obsessive behavior, which is reckless and self-destructive. Yeah. I know one particular man who had a lot of those issues. And then he began, again, seeing things in his pictures. Mm-hmm. Oh, look, that shadow, that's a Bigfoot. Oh, that tree twist, that's a Bigfoot. Oh, that owl, that's an owl. That wasn't him, the owl thing. I'm making an example, but this kid had a legitimate Bigfoot sighting. It traumatized him. And he ended up almost bankrupting himself buying equipment for Bigfooting. Trail cameras. I don't care. I got to find this thing. I got to see it again. And then every shadow, every dark spot, became Bigfoot in those pictures. Right. Yeah. And then it wasn't long before some people were saying, man, you're just a hoaxer. No, he's a person who had a legitimate, if you go back to the very first time, I would say Matt Johnson is a great example of post-traumatic stress syndrome.
They had that original first sighting, and then couldn't stay in the woods enough after that. Got to repeat that. Got to repeat it, no matter what.
It becomes an obsession. That's not necessarily a post-traumatic stress. I think they have so much doubt they couldn't believe what they're seeing, as they need to go back and prove it to themselves again. And again and again and again. And I think some people, like Matt Johnson, who had a very credible sighting. And then all of a sudden, 8, 9 years later, 10 years later, whatever it was, it changed to a little bit quirkier, conforming more to his beliefs now. But that's what happens when you become so obsessed with something. People, think that every Bigfoot researcher is obsessed with Bigfoot, but we're not. We're not. Chris, you love small engine repair and doing other things.
Yeah.
I myself like doing other things and have a lot of other interests as well besides Bigfoot. When you first
have that first sighting, I think everybody's going to go through a phase to where they're in the woods all the time because, oh my God, they're here. I am going to prove it to the world because I've seen one and I can do it again. I know I can do it again. But there's a really, really good chance you might never see another one. 99% of the time when you go out, you're not even going to see any evidence. Even if you're working, Steve has put out some really valuable tools. What would Sasquatch do? The places, how to determine what would be a good place to look. And if you follow that information, it's not a guarantee that you're going to have a sighting. You got to be extremely lucky. It's like lightning striking you on the day, lightning striking you on the day you win the lottery. You'll have a sighting. That's not going to happen every day. But once you do have that sighting, though, it's like, you go out and you hear a twig snap, Bigfoot, Bigfoot, because now you know that this big creature is out there. And so every time you hear something snap, a twig snap behind you, oh my God, it's Bigfoot, or it could be Bigfoot. It really does something, messes with your mind. It messed with mine. I was right there. It did. It messed with me.
Every once in a while you get a smart ass remark from somebody saying, "Oh, is that all you think about?" When you're talking about it, right? Yeah. No, actually, I think about a lot of other things. Outside of Facebook, I do talk a little bit of politics. I talk a lot about science. I talk a lot about history because I'm a Rev War history buff. A lot of people don't know that.
I love history.
I'm a Rev War history buff. I have been, and I also kind of dribbled a little bit into the Civil War a bit too. And I have been to places like Valley Forge and the Windsor Cantonment and Fort Stanwix, Fort Ticonderoga, the Saratoga Battlefield, which is actually only about 6 miles down the road from me, where I live now. Schuylerville used to be old Saratoga. So, and there's so much more. I mean, I've been to Antietam, I've been to Gettysburg, I've been to Harper's Ferry, I've been to a number of Civil War sites as well. So I tell people that are into this, do something else as well. Don't make this completely one hobby in itself. That way, if you start to feel burnout, you can step away, go to that, and have that to do and enjoy. I'm also a true crime buff. I like unsolved mysteries, which is the reason why I got into this in the first place. And guess what? I may have cracked a missing persons case. And I was doing that while I was a private investigator. And I now believe I know why this girl disappeared and who took her. So I do have a lot of that interest. I love computing. I love technology. I'm a ham radio operator as well. So you need those things to balance you out. Billy's saying he's watching Unsolved Mysteries right now. You're supposed to be watching this show, Billy, not Unsolved Mysteries. No.
But people do. They have that sighting, and then your brain just tricks you. You go through a lot of things, and it's not your fault.
And you go through your phases, right?
Right, exactly.
And fortunately, I've tried to kind of explain that to the main accuser of this poor kid. That listen, this kid was going through a lot of PTSD because of his original sighting, which is very credible, and he just went off the rails. Now he has hardly anything to do with it. He has hardly anything to do with it. Yep. And for a while, I was also dabbling in the ghost world. I was doing paranormal investigations.
Well, anything investigations, you know, the unknown, I'm all for it. Watch all those shows. I love it. Right. I love it.
Yep. So yeah, they're you know, you know, as far as, you know, my advice to our fellow squatchers out there, diversify a little bit. Find a backup thing. That way you can burn out, because I'll tell you what, this field you inevitably will burn out. You will think the lunatics run asylum. You will think that, you know, you're getting no headway, no respect. People like the guy I just booted tonight. Okay, he's one of how many thousands that follow this channel? Right?
Almost 7.
Huh?
Almost 7.
Yeah.
Coming up on 7.
Yeah. Coming up on 7K. So, you know, and if your whole goal is to come into another chat room to troll that person and try to belittle him in front of his audience, you're a pretty pathetic individual, if you ask me. I don't go into anybody else's chat room and try to knock them down. That's what I have my own platform for.
Well, you know, I think people get frustrated. I think that people, witnesses.
And there's Billy. Yeah, I asked the guy that took 10 years off. Billy did take 10 years off from this. Yep.
I think people get frustrated, especially if they've had one sighting and they go back to the same area and they can never get another sighting. You know, it's really frustrating.
Daniel has the question, completely off topic, but we'll tag it. Sasquatch camping, big moon or no moon for best results. I've had results on both. You know, when I saw my first one, I don't recall there being a moon. There may have been, but I don't recall seeing it. It was pretty dark. But on the second one, it was a full moon night. So,
and my advice is to go during the daytime. Can't see in the dark.
Buttworm says, people often think I'm a troll due to my name, LOL. We thought at first, too, this could have been a troll. Like, what do you think, man? Usually having good conversation.
Yeah. I don't know what we'll do without that.
Buttworm, you are one of our regulars here. We appreciate you and love you, brother.
Appreciate you being here with us. Sure do.
So, we need to hear the story of your chat name. You mean my nom de gore?
Oh, you guys. That's why every spring you guys should take your dose of ivermectin. Keep yourself clean. It's good for you, especially if you eat a lot of salads with lettuce from Mexico.
We need to hear the story of your chat name. You mean my Squatch Detective moniker, Billy? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, I think he was talking about Buttworm. I think.
Yep. And you're right, Jeff. There is a way of. Oh, he wants to know how Buttworm got his name. Oh, there it is. My wife calls me that. I'm always up her ass about stuff.
Oh, yes, that's a
all right. There we have it. Now we know.
Had nothing to do with
it. I can respect having a different opinion than Steve, but to walk in here, go noses. I don't know what go noses mean, but I kind of get what you're saying. But to come in here and try to troll it, come on. Yeah, if you have a problem with me, and you know, you already seem to know, brother, about who I am or what I do and whatnot. Bottom line is no LE training, but I wore a ballistic vest for work. I've carried 2 pairs of handcuffs for work at one time. Served search warrants. whatever. Somehow, and here's another misnomer: police officers are not investigators. They're not. Investigators are investigators, private sector and public sector. Yeah. So, and yeah, you're right, Billy. I'm not really letting it get to me. Just we'll move on. So again, if you've ever been in the woods with a person who has PTSD due to a Bigfoot sighting, will know that they're extremely jumpy, and they'll think that was an owl. That was a Sasquatch pretending to be an owl. Right? That's PTSD. Perhaps. Perhaps. In that case, I think the guy was just plain crazy, but
well, the when you strive to have another sighting too, you can get pretty self-destructive. You take risks.
Right. And again, like Bat Mom said, that's part of the obsessiveness.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And myself, it's like a lot of people ask me what I do after the show. And Chris and I will talk a little bit. We'll talk stats. We'll talk about how we're doing, how the the channel is progressing. And we'll talk about other things too. We talk about movies. We talk about, what the hell, we'll talk politics, stuff we don't do on this channel. Right. And then when I'm done, I'll click off and I'll watch TV. And I'll watch one of my favorite YouTube channels is Dame Drops, who is a African-American food reviewer from Connecticut. And he does a lot of fast food reviews and stuff like that. And he's been around for years, and he's been on Rachel Ray and stuff like that. Love the guy. I love watching him, enjoy watching him. You got to take that step away. Boris asked a question, which we can answer that pretty easily. Who has the biggest case of Bigfoot on the brain? Todd Standing, Tom Biscardi, or David Shealy? David Shealy. David Shealy, I would say. The first two,
they're in it for the
different type of Bigfoot on the brain.
Different motivation. Yeah. Different motivations.
So, yeah, Boris, we talked about Matt Johnson. Maybe having his encounter was so traumatic to him that perhaps that's the reason why he went into that way. I have a feeling that John Eric Beckshard was the same way. And we'll have another conversation in a second about people like John Eric Beckshard.
I always liked Beckshard, but his theories were a little bit.
And we'll get into that in the next slide. We'll get into the next slide. So you have to really parse very carefully if a person is suffering PTSD, or the next is what we call illusionary superiority. And I'm just going to pull that up my here. Now, illusionary superiority is where somebody overestimates their abilities, and people tend to rate their abilities and traits and performances above average. Now, mind you, some would say, like Cajun Crawler, well, isn't that what you're doing here? No, actually, what I'm doing is I'm taking material and disseminating it. In no means am I psychoanalyzing anybody. In no means am I coming up with anything concrete, but what it does is it helps me understand better the Bigfoot witness I'm talking to. You forget that when I call it the psychology of Bigfoot, a guide to understanding Bigfoot claims, it's using this psychology that is known, that is out here, that is there, that I've experienced, right? And applying that to my past experiences so it better helps my future abilities. And in the book itself, I do show examples in the Bigfoot world, and I show examples in the real world as well, the outside world, the criminal world, And Chris can attest to that. I have several cases in there that really like, wow, that's really friggin' interesting.
Yeah.
And it shows how, a piece of the psychology that I'm talking about in the book is applied to this particular case, real world case.
Good examples.
So, no, I'm not overestimating. I'm not perfect. I'm not the all in all be all. Neither is the book. The Psychology of Bigfoot is a guide. It's not me preaching. It's a guide. It's a guide explaining what these are and how to apply them and where they may apply in the Bigfoot world. And I give examples. That's not me coming up with anything new or saying that or coming up with anything brilliant necessarily. But it's a tool for people to use. Yeah. And for fans of Bigfoot that like to use, they can read it and understand maybe why somebody is seeing all these blobs as Bigfoot or the shadows as Bigfoot, or in this case, like illusionary superiority, which we will talk in a little bit. Well, oh, look, there's the cloak Bigfoot, and there's the cloak Bigfoot, and there's the cloak Bigfoot, and stuff like that.
Right.
And again, comparative judgments. This bias often manifests when individuals compare themselves to others, typically believing they are better than the majority. Sounds a little bit like Asian Crawler there. Well, you're not this, so well, right now. So, again, and resistant to contrary evidence. Think about the minions that follow that DNA study back 12 years ago that went nowhere. You show them the evidence and they'll totally disregard it in lieu of what their leader says, because they've kind of fallen into this messiah complex, whether it be one person or the other person or the other person. Don't fall into the messiah complex. Anybody here in this chat can ask me a question, right? The reason why, what's his name there? Crawley, the bug.
Yeah.
Crawler, the bug. The bug got booted was because he put in a very sarcastic, judgmental comment afterwards. I'm all for free discussion. I'm all for somebody said, hey, if you think this or that, it's all good. So, and I'm always open to new evidence. And I have, over the years, have turned my own judgments on some things around. Like I thought this was real, but now I don't. Or I didn't think this was real, but now I do. I was always leery of the Freeman film until I started looking at more and more and more of the evidence and talking to people like Dr. Jeff Meldrum, hearing Dr. Grover Krantz, or seeing what he's written about that stuff, and listening to Michael Freeman himself from a perspective of a son, a third party. That was closest to Paul as we can get without having Paul say it himself. So when I see all of that, kind of lead me to kind of reverse my course on that.
Well, with science, yeah, you've got to go by the evidence, and they can't disregard evidence because it doesn't match up to what your personal beliefs are.
Right, correct.
You've got to shape your knowledge on what, based on the evidence, not what you want it to be.
Right.
I think a lot of people, and we've seen a lot of that, a lot of examples of that. And you mentioned it, the DNA study. People were just, this Bigfoot DNA. Well, no, it's bear. This was a bear DNA.
And again, when you look at the people at the top echelon of that, they have a fundamental need to maintain a positive self-image, which leads them to view themselves more favorably. Well, that's generally all of us, unless you I'll get to that in a second.
You want to do that one? Okay, I marked it.
Yeah, in a minute. We all, if we truly are not a depressed person or have a manic personality or a bipolar disorder, we all generally try to look at ourselves more favorably than, you know, like, hey, I'm me. I love, you know, you got to love yourself. And that's been a tough thing for me to do too. Hello, Mrs. Trackway.
You know, I think a lot of the people make the mistake of never questioning themselves, and that's one thing you've always got to do. You got to question yourself because nobody knows it all. And I think the beginning of wisdom is to admit that, you know, I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, I'm only human. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. And when I make mistakes, I'm a man. I admit it.
Right.
I'm not like some people, especially the people that have evolutionary superiority, is if they make a mistake, they will never ever admit to it.
Never can do
like
no
for
wrong.
Example, mishearing somebody talking about a confession. Lack of self-awareness. These people often have lacked the ability to accurately assess their own abilities due to limited self-awareness or information. Well, how many times have I answered a question like, I'm really not qualified to do that? I'm not a scientist. Right. So, Bat Mom, I think he was being sarcastic on that one, Bat Mom. So, selective memory. You know, the bad guys in the field tend to forget what they say in the past, either by lie or by admission or by purpose. You can ask, like Todd Standing. Todd, you claimed once you had bags full of hair. Oh yeah, they were taken when my house was burglarized.
The Men in Black.
Yeah, I came in. It was Borat. He was getting the bag of pubic hairs.
I'll tell you what. One good example that I can think of the selective memory would be Bob Hieronymus. His memory changes when describing the suit. His memory changes to whatever is most convenient at the time.
Right. Right. Exactly.
That's been one of the real problems with his story.
Right.
Throughout since he started telling it. Right. And, you know, people can have their own. You can form your own opinion, but the facts are that he has changed his story about the suit more times than you can count. I mean,
right. So we take a look at all of this and we understand that, and finally come down to cultural influences, societal norms, and values that emphasize individual achievement and self-esteem can encourage overestimation of personal abilities. And sometimes when you live in a country that really tries to push personal achievement ahead of everybody else, example, you wouldn't see this in necessarily a communist country, because in a democratic or a republic type of state where capitalism flows, we tend to push personal achievement. So we don't see that as much in those kind of countries, and people say, why can't we be like those? Well, because it's not built into their culture. We're all about, but there are pluses and minuses to that. You know, if somebody did not push themselves for personal achievement, would we today be talking about John Green? Would we be talking about Renee DeHinden? Would we be talking about Peter Byrne or Grover Krantz or Dr. Jeff Meldrum or, you know, people that have pushed themselves to the top of the rank because, you know, they're trying to achieve. And that's really hugely important. Where it goes off the rails is when you start, I mean, any one of the, that's my bird clock. Any one of those, it is 10 o'clock in all's well in New York. Any one of those things on their own is normal. But having all of those is really a big, an alert. And, you look at like self-enhancement motivation, General Patton, General MacArthur. You think about those types of generals. Yeah, they carried themselves with maintain a positive, self-image and view themselves more favorably. Yeah. So not all those traits are necessarily a bad thing. They can enhance somebody to rise above and meet a challenge. Where it becomes an issue is when you have this cross into some of the PTSD effects. Then all of a sudden you become, I've seen this Bigfoot, now I'm all knowing. I'm a knower. Right. I'm sorry. I've seen a motor vehicle too. That doesn't mean I can fix the transmission in it, or I can, rebuild the engine block.
Well, you know that the motor vehicles exist, but other than that, not a lot. Just by seeing a Bigfoot now, you've solved that mystery in your mind. Do they exist or not? Well, yes, they do. Right. But what do you really know? Well, nothing other than that. Nothing other than that.
So there was a question. Yeah. Why are you Bigfooting, Mr. Kulls, and what is your outcome of it? Well, number one, I don't call it Bigfooting. I call it just honest to goodness investigating, research, whatever you want to call it. It's not Bigfooting. When you go out there, the tool set I bring is the same I bring to every investigation, whether it be an arson, whether it be a burglary, whether it be a robbery, whether it be a case of vandalism, or even something silly like garaging, automobile garaging. You bring each case with your investigation techniques and move forward. Now, why am I doing that? Why? Because I'm trying to vindicate the witnesses. When I first got into it, I thought it was all going to be a bunch of hooey, a bunch of crap. And by the way, Sandwich Savant is now a new member of our YouTube.
Welcome, Sandwich Savant. Love that name.
What's really important is that when I realized that this wasn't a bunch of crap, and the reason why I know this is because when you see a witness that is showing you physical signs of reliving something, a trauma, jugular vein distension, hair standing on its end, sweating, breathing shallowly, starting to drift off, you're seeing a real event here of somebody that really experienced something. So at that point, I knew they had seen something they believed at least to be a Sasquatch. And after seeing some corroborative evidence in the field as an investigator, not scientific evidence, again, there's a difference between investigative evidence and corroborative. And
oh, wow, Jay.
Thank you, Jay. You guys are off the chain tonight.
Wow, you guys, you're too much. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
So after a while, it became, I'm not in it for me. I'm not in it to have my name in lights. I'm in it to vindicate the witnesses. I want them to feel better at night. And I'm a witness now too. I want to vindicate myself just as much. But when I started all this, I didn't have a sighting, let alone two. I want to vindicate them. That's the important thing, is to vindicate the witnesses. I want everybody in. I want Jay Fritz to say, "See, I told you I saw a damn Sasquatch."
Yeah.
And there are, and Jay would follow up with, and there are Sasquatch and LBL. So yeah, that's the reason why I do what I do. And again,
Mick says there's a huge difference between a knower and a know-it-all.
Know-it-all. That's a great one. I may steal that one.
Oh, that's good.
Right. And just as and if you ever heard Justin Counter, you can go back and we interviewed him back on, forget, a few months back. But I had a hard time sharing my encounter without feeling how it affected my friends and little brother. Well, very important to share that because how they felt is very imperative on how it affects people differently. Some people it doesn't affect. Some people it doesn't cause PTSD. So you have to be very careful. And congratulations, Bat Mom, on your grandson's first birthday.
Happy birthday, Bat Mom's grandson. Speaking of birthdays, it was recently on the 30th, my oldest boy's birthday, Robbie. Happy birthday, Robbie.
Well, happy birthday, Robbie. Quarter 3. Didn't forget that. We still have those cuts, too. And today's birthday, Derek Randall's birthday is today as well. So happy birthday to Derek Randall's.
Derek. Yeah. We'll do a birthday section on the show.
Olympic project.
Love the criminals conflicted on being feral humans.
Yeah, and well, Don mentioned, here's a great thing. I would love the answer. It's still conflicted on it being feral humans. Well, if it was feral human, they would look human.
I would think so. Yeah.
Right. They don't look human. Human-like, yes, but not human.
Yeah, they got 2 legs and 2 arms and stuff, but yeah, I know there's lots of owls there too in the LBL, but I've not been able. It's so far away. I've not been able to research much. Just one overnight expedition, and that's been it.
Yeah, that's been it's quite a ways away.
It's a pretty good drive from here, and I'm in Kentucky, but it's way over on the western part of Kentucky.
So Jay asked me something completely off. Am I doing the Epley move for my vertigo? No, actually, I haven't done anything right now for my vertigo because I realized where it was coming from. So, it depends when they work a particular part of my spinal cord. And if they work my spinal cord, like chiropractor works it a certain way, it's several hours later, it's tripping vertigo. So,
well, I think a lot of people have different motivations for why they're in the Bigfoot field.
Sure.
Some people, they want the witnesses to feel, vindicated, because a lot of times, if you tell somebody that you're a Bigfoot witness, they look at you like, okay, they'll just walk a wide circle around you. Of course, if you let that kind of stuff bother you, and it never has bothered me in the least. The last thing I care about is what other people think about me. I don't have no reservations about that whatsoever. But it would be nice if you could bring one in and then line up all the skeptics to have a banquet dinner and feed them a plate of crow and let them eat crow. That would be good. That'd be a good feeling.
No, see, and to me, not necessarily about revenge.
Oh no, it's partially.
It's about people keeping their head up. But yes, would it be nice to say, "Oh yeah, you're the guy who always poo-pooing Bigfoot"? Well, guess what?
Yeah, there you go. Hey, here it is.
I get that. That's
you always ask where the body was.
Well,
here it is. But that's to me. I don't like people being rude. I don't like that. I don't like people being rude to others. It's wrong.
Well, why people like Cajun Crawler piss me off. And let me explain that. It's because in my youth, I was kind of before I hit 6th grade, well, actually from 4th through 6th grade, I was kind of a portly kid. I was 135 pounds in 4th grade. That's a chubby kid. So guess what? Everybody bullied me. A lot of them got a fist in the mouth. Because I don't like bullies.
Violence is never the answer.
To a bully, it is sometimes.
Except when you're dealing with a bully.
Yeah. Right. And so when somebody makes a comment like that, trying to discredit me, it freaking well right pisses me off, because I worked for almost 40 years.
Yeah.
The 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s, 5 friggin' decades I worked as an investigator. Suck it. That's what I got to say. So you can understand that there's still that little kid in me that when somebody says something like that, like, man, that really pisses me off, because you're trying to belittle me. You're not insulting me. Somebody calls me an asshole, I'll agree with them. Right?
Shouldn't let it bother you, Steve.
Yeah.
Should just let it roll off like water off a duck's back.
Should. But we have people that don't know me in this chat. We have new audience members. Right. Anyway, back to the Bigfoot. So now you know a little bit more about me, and that's part of the growing process. I want my audience to know who I am. I'm an open book. So, now, Don, you said the one you saw was within human parameters. Well, maybe it was a young one. The second one I'd seen was only about 5.5 feet tall.
Yeah, they come in different sizes, for sure.
So that mom asked, do I still investigate stuff for public? I don't know what you mean by stuff for public.
Are you still practicing for the public? Like, do you still have your
am I still? Yeah, I know. I retired. I actually retired. I let my license lapse out in October because I didn't want to spend the exorbitant amount of money New York State wants to maintain that license, which is about $500 a year between license and bond. And then the bond is only $88. So you figure out where that portion of that $500 goes. Right.
New York loves their money. They're going to get that license fee.
Right. And really, I didn't have time to devote to my business anymore. And my last PI clients, let me say, were a little, the one person, and they were a little bit unhinged, because they hire you and then they change the parameters like 3 weeks later, and then they do not understand the process of investigation, and they're trying to run the investigation and interfere with the investigation. So they invalidated their contract, unfortunately, because of that, especially when I get phone calls accusing me of this and that and this and that, when, they don't understand. I can't surveil somebody 3 times a week, because they're going to get used to seeing me there.
Right. Yeah. Once your cover is blown, it's
blown.
You don't need to be there, right? Oh, look, there's the investigator guy again.
So I'm not out there doing it for the public anymore. But do I still have resources? Yes, absolutely. Do I still know how to investigate? Absolutely. So do I need necessarily a license to find out the information I need for the Bigfoot community? No. I often, as far as why I got involved in this, is because, like I said, I'm curious by nature. I started in the early 90s as a UFO investigator for APRO, which by 1995 had completely fallen apart. So I was doing nothing for a few years. And truthfully, UFO investigator is kind of boring. Credit to the UFO investigators, and nothing bad about them. I found it boring because, and the same, and at the time, even being a paranormal investigator really didn't jazz me up too much, because if you think about it, I wanted to find something you could find physical evidence.
Right.
I wanted that. Okay, we're here, and let's do this. Maybe we can find this. Maybe we can find that, and now, 20 some odd years later, 25, almost 25 years later, 26 years later. Yeah, I've done just about everything I wanted to do in the field of Bigfoot, but I continue on because it's what I do the best. It's what I enjoy to do the most. I enjoy the channel. I enjoy this. So, but again, you cannot get obsessed with it completely. And I've taken my breaks. When it started going south a couple of months ago, I did my shows, but I wasn't as aggressive in doing it every day on the channel. Now we're back and rolling again, and we're so DM Zabo asks, any documentaries? Well, as far as I know, I gotta reach out to A&E. No, I'm sorry, the History Channel. Oh, oops. I gotta reach out to the History Channel because I did tape 4 episodes of The Proof Is Out There. So that'll be coming up at some point. When they start talking about Bigfoot stuff, pay attention. You may see my puss on there.
Sometime in 2024, maybe, on the History Channel.
Yeah, it'll probably be fall 2024, my guess. Bigfoot on the brain. People read something about Bigfoot, like a DNA study, and they go to town with it. Oh, this is real. This is real. This is real. Again, that's not necessarily any one of these things. It's not necessarily PTSD or illusionary superiority. The problem is that there are a certain bunch of folks, that will run with anything. Gullibility factor. They have a big gullibility factor. They believe something, they read something, they believe it. Whereas I learned at a very early age that you need to cross-check everything. As an investigator, you need to cross-check, stuff. You need to corroborate. We call that corroboration. In journalism, they call that cross-referencing or cross-checking or checking sources and stuff like that. That's what they call it on the journalism side. Now, why do I know journalism? Is because, that was kind of the whole goal back in 2005, 2006, when I started squatchdetective.com. And up until then, I ran a little small grassroots organization called the Adirondack Research Organization. And then in 2003, I met Bill Brand and I met Paul Bartholomew. And then by 2006, when we launched squatchdetective.com, I was ready to come out as, a forefront public figure to talk about it rather than just being mediocre about it. We're actually going to make decisions and make calls on this using investigative analysis principles and journalistic integrity. And now we fast forward many years, and even journalism is kind of questionable now, as we see. I first began to see journalism really being bad on this topic by mixing stories up, not being complete, misquoting, doing all kinds of stuff back starting in the mid-2000s. Very frustrating because the way I learned journalism was you're supposed to be have integrity.
Yeah, that seems to be missing these days. But I want to get to a question, Steve, that you cover in the book a little bit. It's about why are there so many? Well, what photos we get of Bigfoot are often blurry, or we don't get that many photos of Bigfoot to go along with somebody's sighting. What would account for that?
Well, as I said, that you have that mind break on there trying to figure out what you're saying. And now you're expected to, I don't even know what the hell I do. It's over there. Then you're expected to pull it out. Got my phone out.
Calmly open the camera.
Let me unlock it. Can't unlock it. Now let me get my camera. Where's my camera up here? All right, now let me get it. Oh, it's gone. Or oh, there it goes, and it's running away. And then, not to mention, these things are not meant to shoot in the beyond the initial forest line. In other words, it's going to focus on the closest object it can. If you have something here in front of your phone, it's going to focus on that near object. So if you have a branch, a tree, a shrub, or anything like that, it's going to focus on that, not on the subject behind it.
And if somebody was to be able to pull their phone out in time during their sighting, do you think it would be better to snap a photo or punch video? Take video or photo? What do you think would be better?
Either or, you're still going to have the same effect. But video, you're trying it now. Mind you, Bigfoot ain't going to wait around. You know, which kind of always says when you see the Bigfoot peeking around a tree, you kind of know it's bullshit. You know, the video. Maybe a picture is more believable, but a video now.
Yeah, I've seen, I know you've seen this one too, where the Bigfoot just kind of like goes from one tree to another tree and walking back and forth. And then he turns around and goes back. You know, it's like first you see him walking over to the right, and then he stops behind trees, and then he ends up walking back. It's like he's just walking back and forth, getting camera shots of himself, film of himself. It's kind of funny.
Because they do it for Todd. Yet Todd will tell you they're aggressive and they're you know, very scared of them.
Yes, but they just walk back and forth, waiting for the right camera angles, I guess.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, there is truly a number of reasons why. And I always said this when I was a surveillance investigator.
Right.
If it was a rainy day, you couldn't take video. Because you'd have your camera sitting there through the window looking for the guy. And that raindrop would hit the window and it would focus on the raindrop. Everything behind it would go blurry. Or if you were moving in a rolling surveillance, even if your windshield wipers went by, it would blur out the whole video. Yep. Digital equipment is not meant for photos in a forest. They're meant for taking pictures like selfies. Or pictures, you know, of family and maybe sporting events and stuff like that, but they're not meant for taking pictures in the wild. That you need a manual focus DSLR camera to be most effective. And that's why Roger Patterson had the luck he had. Everybody's saying, well, you know, there's so many video cameras out there today. Why? Well, why? Because what did Roger Patterson have to do to shoot Patty? Right? Or shoot Patty's film.
Yeah, right.
Pick up the camera and pull the trigger.
Film camera.
Right. What do we have to do here? To pull up the camera, you have to unlock it, swipe, find the app, push it. Meanwhile, this Bigfoot's moving around in the background, and you're supposed to forget that. Right. So that's why you haven't got those pictures. You know,
probably by the time you got your phone out, unlocked, camera going, got it on video setting, and punched the button, the Bigfoot's gone 5 seconds ago.
But yet, you'll have pictures at these tragedies that they'll, you know, and there is a when somebody's not involved in something or not directly, like it's not in front of them, a lot of times they have no problem filming stuff. Right. Oh, look, there's a car accident. Oh, look, there's somebody getting run over. Oh, look, there's somebody here or that or that. They have no problem using that or doing that or finding that. But what they do have a problem with is when they're involved. I mean, think about it. If you think about all the the videos we've seen, like you see them posted on Twitter, and because they get pulled down really quick on Facebook, they won't be allowed on YouTube. They'll get pulled off, but you'll see videos on Twitter all the time of these tragedies that are going on as they're happening, or you know, during the tragedy. Right. Well, that's usually taken by people that are not directly involved with the tragedy right in front of them. They may be nearby, it may be over, but it's not affecting them, and they feel they're in a safe place. Otherwise, they wouldn't be taking the video. when you're in a forest by yourself or maybe with another person and it's there in front of you, it's like a wild animal attack. You're not going to be thinking about that. You're going to be thinking about, what am I looking at? What is it? And oh my God, am I in danger? Right. So the filming of itself is just not a priority in a person's mind, and that is basic, psychology. And like if we look at, and like I said, the Bigfoot Peeper was a great case in hoaxing psychology. How he was acting like he thought somebody would act, but not how they really act. I was filming things for 8 minutes, and then my wife came in and screamed, and then I got my gun. Well, why did you get your gun after your wife screamed? Right. Why didn't you do that? That would be the first thing. Survival would be the first thing to think of, not taking a video of it, right? Not a picture of it, right? So that's what's the psychology of it.
I think we've got some more platypus comments going on in the chat.
I wonder if Cajun Crawler is mutt.
Probably.
Probably.
Thinking, yeah.
Well, because he does not like my buddy Mike Bluler. And Mike Bluler is a Cajun from Louisiana.
Patty Troy says, takes me a minute to find how to text on my new phone. 0.2 minutes to find my camera.
Yeah.
Me too.
Right.
Even if you've got your camera ready with you, I mean, if it's not your phone, if you've got one of these little pocket camcorder deals, not every situation can you think to pull that thing out and start filming, because there's a fear factor. That's one of the red flags, I think, when somebody has a sighting, when they say, well, you ask them, well, how did that make you feel when you first saw this thing? Oh, I just felt love and peace. And I'm thinking, this person is lying. This person is lying through their teeth, because you don't feel love and peace when you see a Bigfoot. Oh, no. No, this is something that your parents, when you grew up, they told you this doesn't exist. Okay, the boogeyman does not exist. Well, there it is.
But Santa Claus does.
Damn right.
And think about society. We are raised on lies. I was talking about my wife a few weeks ago about being raised on lies. We're told that Bigfoot isn't real. We're told the boogeyman isn't real. We're told ghosts aren't real. But we're told Santa Claus is real. The Easter Bunny is real. The Tooth Fairy is real. So we're grown up with lies. And then we wonder why we become, as a species, when we get older and into adulthood, we're cynical. It's because at the very base of since our beginning, we have been lied to. And I think that's kind of tragic in a way. It's kind of cute. I mean, oh, well, where's the harm in it? But you think about it, what we're saying to ourselves at a very young age is that it's okay to lie if it's in good spirit or in good jest. So maybe perhaps that's part of the hoaxing culture we've had, not only in the Bigfoot community, but in every community. I mean, we think hoaxing is something new. It was being done at the turn of the century, since the minute photographs were invented. Think about that.
Yeah. I love to watch some of those old black and white films that show the guys juggling and stuff, and they use camera tricks. It's so cool. Right. But back in the day, it's pretty hokey now. But
yeah, but if you think about it, back in the day, there was these twin sisters that allegedly were seeing these fairies.
Yes.
And they were posting these pictures of fairies. So
yeah. Turned out to be little paper cutouts that they were making.
Right, yeah.
Pretty cool.
But you understand that and that wasn't the only one going on. There were ghost photos and stuff that were fake even back then. The whole when spiritualism became a thing, right?
Ectoplasm stuff,
right? Yeah,
that was cool.
So it's not, it's not just this community, but to a lot of communities. How many? Being a YouTuber, I tend to keep track on trends on YouTube. And there are gamers that supposedly have these wonderful, great games, and like, wow, these guys are really hot and they're top of the league in this particular game or that particular game. But as it turns out, that they're faking the games. That they're just doing replays of games that were champion games.
Mm-hmm.
So there's hoaxing there. So it's not just, people think, and I had a real good call. I actually talked with our old friend Steve Stroyford the other day.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see how he was doing because, his bookstore burned down. And he was,
right.
It was a horrible thing.
Colossal run of bad luck, right?
And he's still on a tough way, but we're rooting for him, and we're hoping he keeps his head up. But there is I forgot where I was going with this. It'll come to me.
Sorry, man. You kind of blew me away when you brought up Steve. Go ahead.
But explain what I said. We tend to think, for people who become very cynical about the Bigfoot community, we tend to think that all this bullshit, pardon the French, goes on just within the Bigfoot community, but it does not. It goes on in the paranormal community times 10. And the reason why is the paranormal community, every other person there wants to be a TV star. And there's a gazillion paranormal TV shows. Right. And
I've seen a lot, yeah.
That sets up battle lines. Trust me. And it can be a very ugly place. There's the same thing in ufology. You think that, you have the people like Jeremy Corbell and see, you were talking about forgetting people earlier today. But you have people like Jeremy Corbell who, is in this, well, we don't know what it is type of realm. And then you have the group that, there's the Greys and there's the little green guys and then there's the reptilians and all this other stuff, which is way out in left field because there's no evidence for any of that. Right. About the evidence is on par level with the level of the Zorth type of creature, Zorth and the Tracheon and the Janu and all that crap. So they have the same kind of divides there. In the paranormal world, it's just, this person's BSing this person's BSing that person's, sleeping with that person's sleeping with that person. That's the paranormal community. So I'll take my Bigfoot community.
Oh, yeah.
Where, 25 years ago, the biggest argument was kill versus no kill. Now we have the DNA shows it's a hybrid versus it's all bullshit. Then we have massacre versus no massacre. Then we have Patterson Gimlin versus no Patterson Gimlin. We have, the Woo versus the Apers. And we have all kinds of crap going on. But I'll take that any day over what the hell goes on over there. And then if you break it down. And if you break it down, you get into the political world. It's very much the same person. This person's lying. Well, this person said that, and this person said that, and this person's doing this, and this person's doing that. It's the same everywhere. This is just a microcosm of humanity here. That's what the Bigfoot community is. It's the microcosm of the greater human ability. And sometimes I think, is this all because, number one, when we were raised, we were lied to at the very beginning. So it's okay to tell a lie. And two, that our emphasis when we're little children is that we're so special and so great that when we get older and get something like social media, we have to show everybody how great we are and how good we are and how special we are. look, I can do this, but you can't do that.
Well, yeah, I think that's a product of society, though. That's the everybody gets a trophy generation.
Gary asked, would you say these Bigfoot groups are just being YouTubers? No, it's nothing to do with actually YouTube. Yeah, you have channels that, yeah, you do have some drama on the circuit, obviously with, Mutt, who now I'm realizing it, Mutt was probably Cajun Crawler.
Well, it's not just limited to YouTube and not just limited to Bigfoot.
Most of it's on Facebook.
I used to watch a lot of the paranormal shows too, because, hey, I love a mystery not as much as the next guy. And it would be like, especially the difference between the two shows, it would be competing. Maybe one week, one show would show a rocking chair rock. Okay, then the next week, the other show would show a rocking chair rock and then move. It was like they were constantly trying to outdo the other.
Or worse yet, in the 1 week you get the rocking chair rocking, and the next week you get a rock being thrown at the rocking chair.
Oh yeah, stuff moving around the room. Yeah.
So, no, Mick, guess what? None of this gets to me. None of this gets. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying this because these are questions that we should be asking ourselves, telling ourselves, to avoid burnout, to avoid cynicism. Why do you think I've been able to last 25 years doing this? Through all the bull crap that I've taken, and Chris knows I've taken more than my share.
Yeah.
More than anyone. You think a person like Mutt or Cajun Crawler or anybody can give me more guff than what I've been through in the past? Not a bit. They're amateurs, brother. They're amateurs.
Now, there's channels on YouTube that I watch. I'm not going to mention any names, but some of them are entertaining.
Most of the drama goes on Facebook. I still have to say it's still a Facebook-driven drama that goes on, which I have very little to do with, which is why I tend to avoid most of the drama here on YouTube.
Yeah. And I'm hardly ever signed into Facebook because I just don't do Facebook. But if you add me as a friend or something, just wait a week or two. I'll eventually get the notification.
If you think there are a lot of video and photo hoaxes on YouTube, just go to Facebook. It's 10-fold, 20-fold. You'll see 5 different screen names posting the same bogus bullshit picture from 5-10 years ago, claiming this was a recent BFRO report. That's what I'm dealing with lately. So I've been going right to the top subjects, going, this is a very interesting photo. You claim that's from the BFRO. You wouldn't happen to have the link to that, would you? Or any receipts that it came from the BFR? Because I'm a BFRO investigator, and guess what? I can't find it.
Right.
And leave it at that. What do you think happens to the comments?
Well, I'd say they're probably deleted.
Wouldn't be surprised if I'm blocked.
Poo-pooed on their hopes.
Don't care. See, that's the messed up thing is I do not necessarily care about that. And part of it is because these hoaxers, and some of them have this illusionary superiority that they have an overestimation that they're going to be able to pull one over, and then when they can't, they act like petulant children. So, and you got to wonder why they're even there in this place, which leads to my final tidbit of the night is if you don't believe in Bigfoot, you're not a Bigfoot believer. Why come into a chat room full of people that do believe, or maybe on the fence, but want to keep an open mind, and you want to come in here and start trying to raise doubt and disrupt the show and bother a show or bother a Facebook group because you don't believe, and you're going to try to convince everybody in that room that it doesn't exist. Well, guess what? You're not going to do it. That's trollistic. It would be like me going into a skeptics forum, trying to get people to believe in Bigfoot and arguing my points against theirs when they're not going to change their mind. Let's face it. You guys have been with us for years now, years. And we all believe that there may be something in some small way, even if we're skeptical, there may be an ounce of reality to this mystery. And because there's an ounce of reality to this mystery, you are here. Why? Why would you need to go into a room full of skeptics to try to prove your point to them when they're not going to believe you? Vice versa. Why should somebody that doesn't believe, even if you believed before, now you're trying to come in here and ruin everybody else's enjoyment? Because in the bottom line of things in the world today, in my honest, all truth and belief, I have 2 sightings in 2011 and 2012 of this creature, both in the month of October, both in my research area number 1. One was an adult, one was a juvenile. So be it. Number 2, I believe that this creature exists. If I pick my sightings aside, I can say that the preponderance of evidence that I feel is out there is that there have been a lot of credible witnesses over the last 100 years, 200 years that this has been going on, that I believe that there is something out there. Now, you can come in here and spout any bullshit you want. You're not going to change my mind to that. And I'm not going to change your mind. So don't troll me. And better yet, I'm not going to troll you. And that's the bottom line. I don't go into other people's shows and try to disrupt it and be a disagreeer and start arguments and stuff like that. I'm there to listen. And if I have any commentary, I'll say it right here in my house. I don't go to somebody else's house and disrupt dinner. Don't come to my house and disrupt my dinner. Simple as that.
Yeah. And the track right says, but we do have to speak of the positive occasionally. That's right. When we get something that looks good, I'm excited.
Right?
It's like this is great, but there's not been a whole lot lately that's been really worth looking at.
Yeah, that's why I like having people like Charlie Raymond on.
Yeah.
Who was doing really a bang up job on his channel about doing a lot of witness interviews. He's got a lot of interview with us because he's doing a lot of public relations and public promotions out there.
Yeah.
And me, I'm waiting for mine to. Oh, there's one. Oh, there's one.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are from years ago, so it's really not much I can discern or to really. But when I get a sighting report that was just this past Thursday morning,
right? That's
the damn straight we're on it, and here we are Sunday morning on site, and going back again tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about this one.
And Bill, you're right. All it needed is the right scientist, journalist, or the right person to get the right material. Exactly.
Yeah.
All I can say is tune in Wednesday night, Bill. Tune in Wednesday night. Like I said, you guys are going to be kind of shocked so far, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed what tomorrow's going to bring.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and when I showed Chris what I had, he was like,
I'm excited.
So we'll see.
I like it. That's about all you can say at this point. I like it. You'll find out what I like about it Wednesday. Or, Wednesday.
Well, I don't know if he's a teenager, Bill. I would say he's probably in his early 20s. I may have smoked every season footer out there. Well, no, in actuality, his sighting may have led to something that may have smoked every footer out there, except the person who found it. That would be me. So we'll see. I say, it's a very slim chance.
The kid in the UK.
There's something. I know he's talking about the kid here. Oh, you're talking about Daniel. Daniel's a great kid. I've been on the show. We're going to get him on our show at some point in time. It's just that our show runs so late on his time. So Have to be very careful about making sure he's in school at the right time. We're on Sunday night, school is Monday. So. Then again, it is summertime. Well, it's the beginning of June.
It's coming up, yeah.
I don't know what their school runs over there.
I don't either. Usually here it was like either the last week of May or the first week of June when the school would let out for the summer, depending, how many snow days they had to make up for.
Do they have snow days in the UK?
No. I mean, yeah, surely they have snow.
Do they have? Do they have snow in the UK?
They have snow, yes.
I've never seen a snowy London.
Surely.
No, Shirley didn't say anything about it.
Surely. Yes, they have seasons. Do they go sledding? I don't know. Maybe not that often.
Give me a Snapple.
Their weather may be like it is in Kentucky. We rarely get snow anymore, but hey, man, when I was a kid, dude, everybody had a sled. Everybody had a sled.
So,
for weeks at a time out of school. It was great.
So this show will probably be the slowest in rather than the next few weeks. We've had a great discussion tonight, though. I think we've covered a lot of bases. The next few shows, it's going to may get crazy. I don't know. May just get crazy, which is always fun. But
Nick said if they get a half inch of snow in England, everything shuts down.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of like Virginia. It's kind of like Kentucky too, isn't it?
That's about like it around here. Yeah, they're calling off school because they heard it may snow tomorrow.
Snow day, may snow. Get the broom out. Get the broom out. Wipe off the porch.
They would do like a 1 hour delay or a 2 hour delay, but usually, we were out. Of course, when I was in school, in grade school during the 70s, we had like the blizzard of what was 78 or something. Yeah, we got plenty. We got like 2 weeks off school during that blizzard. That was great.
Yeah, we get 2 or 3 or 4 inches of snow. It's laughable.
Yeah. Up. I've noticed that up north, nothing. You got 6 inches of snow on the ground. That's nothing. Get down to the bus stop. They'll have chains on the bus.
It's like, oh, we got 3 inches of snow on the ground. I'll drive down to the store. I'll drive to work. I had no problem. You try that in Virginia, and everybody's like, because they just don't have a lot of them don't have the experience of driving in it. And a lot of time we'll get snow too that'll melt the same day too. It was really a weird winter this year. We get a snowfall, and we got we had one of the biggest ones in a long time. We got 1.5 feet.
Yeah. And
like 3 days later, it was you could just find little piles here and there of it because it got warm right after. It was a really weird type of winter. Cold and then warm, but when it gets really cold, it doesn't snow as much. That's something about New York that I've noticed is that when it snows, it's usually in the 30s and the 20s. Right. If it's in the teens, it doesn't snow.
Right.
Well, what sucks is when it snows that first day and it's in the 30s, and the next day it's in the teens and it's blowing all over the place. With the wind chill factor of 10, you get all this snow. But this actual snow day, it's actually quite warm.
Usually, we don't get much snow here. But the problem is we live in Kentucky. I live right on that line of that temperature inversion there to where it's high 20s or low 30s. So when everybody else is getting this nice fluffy snow, we get ice storms. Right. And so we have no electricity for a week or something like that because all the lines are knocked down. But hey, everybody's got a generator. You got to have a generator. Just like Florida, you got to have a generator.
But anyway, we might as well kick the show off.
Talking about the weather, yeah.
Well, it all comes full circle. When we start talking about the weather again, it means it's time to go. But anyway, what a great great day. I'm sorry the show's been a little blasé today. If you think it's been blasé, we wanted to cover this topic. We're going to talk about the new book a bit.
And there's some stuff in there that I really enjoy, but I don't want to get into it because of spoilers.
Right.
There's some stuff in there that I hadn't seen, and not that I've seen everything, but just there's some interesting cases that Steve brings up within the book. That's definitely interesting. It's eyebrow raisers,
and it proves the point.
Yeah, it does. It does.
It proves the point out.
It fits.
And you see that's the art of writing a book about psychology, not necessarily having a degree in psychology. I know enough as an investigator to look up some of these terms and get some of the descriptions of them and apply them to cases. That's what we do as an investigator. If we think a crime has been committed, we look at the law books and we apply that law to what has happened. And it's the same thing with science and applying it to a Bigfoot, or psychology and applying it to how a person acts. You don't need a psychology degree to do that. You may need a little bit. You may need a little bit of background doing what I do sometimes to be really good at it. What it takes is practice. This book, I want people to take this book and look.
Can we bring up the book cover, Steve? I can't do that over here.
Huh?
The book cover, can we put that up on the screen rather than the Bigfoot on the brain? There you go. Psychology.
You just take these things and start looking at these concepts and applying it to what you're hearing about this Bigfoot, or what you're seeing as this person is presenting as evidence, or how you're hearing this person talk. Where does it fall into this? And I always say this, by God, you have a legitimate disagreement. If you have a legitimate disagreement or you have a legitimate question asked, I'll try to answer it if I can. I can't answer every question. I'm not a scientist. Won't claim to be. I'm an investigator. So this is psychology based basically on an investigator's real world applications of using psychology in what I do, in interrogation and interviews, and knowing what I know about people to apply that to when I'm sitting across from somebody, listening to them tell me their Bigfoot story. What does it make it true? What doesn't? And then let me look at some other things. Why does this happen? Why does that happen? Why are there no photos? Why do people make wild and ridiculous claims despite the evidence being thrown at them? Right? Why do people, want to not acknowledge that, hey, the DNA came back as a bear, not a Bigfoot, and they're refusing to acknowledge that. These uses concepts to apply that to this. So I don't need to be a psychologist. I'm not diagnosing anybody. I'm using these concepts and applying them to what we've seen out there. And
it helps you understand what the witness may be going through at the time. I think that's a real good job of that.
Yep. Yeah, Bill's trying to make you a
so only 3 hours away, Hocking Hills. Yeah. Well, maybe a little bit further than that for me. But I would love to go to Hocking Hills. I really would.
Well, I can always swing by and pick you up.
Yeah, that's a problem. Riding in the car is not very comfortable.
Yeah, I get that now.
Yeah.
But I do it for the cause.
Sasquatch, what's the Steve? Can we purchase a hard copy? It's not
right now. I do have. Funny thing is with Amazon, I can only order on the day to release. So I have some books on the way. I'll have some more books on the way next month as well. I'm trying to build up my reserves. So I will have copies available. I believe they're going to be to me within the next 10 days. So.
Well, I ordered the paperback copy through Amazon. The hardcover edition was not available yet. So hopefully there may be a hardcover edition. I'd rather have one of those.
What's that?
The hardcover edition of your book. I would love to have a hardcover.
I haven't made a hardcover edition yet.
I would love to have one. I would like to donate some to the local libraries here. I think it's very good reading.
Well, Boris, it depends where you are. Hey, Boris asks, can you swing by and give me a ride? Sure. You're on the way, sure. Thank you, Nikki.
You know, I would like to have a. Thanks, Nikki. I would like to have one of those RVs, but to ride around in. That way, I could drive for an hour or two. Then, when I got uncomfortable, I could stop and maybe lay down, and watch TV or something. But unfortunately, those things they want like mega bucks, right? Mega bucks for something just old, you know. And you can't do that.
Oh, Medford, Oregon. Yeah, Boris, I hate to say it, that's a little bit outside my way. About a week out of my way.
Oregon is beautiful. That's one of my favorite states out of all 50. I love Oregon.
I ever tell you my Oregon story?
Lay it on me.
So we're walking down a dirt road, heading to an area where there was a Bigfoot sighting on this ravine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been going on for a little bit. And this is daytime. We're doing the daytime scout. So we're walking down the road and we scout the area a little bit. We're walking back, and as we're walking back, we find an overturned pickup truck in the gully with its lights still flashing. Nobody in it.
Wow.
Still running, lights flashing. Nobody's in it. We looked the whole area to see if somebody got ejected. Nope.
That's weird. That's weird. Yeah. And they got
Mixon, how about just outside of Toronto, Steve? Well, let me say this. If you can make your way to Buffalo, I'll swing by.
Buffalo. Another nice area. Love Buffalo. Used to go up there quite a bit. What was it? Alcoa Aluminum up there in Buffalo. Used to go up there quite a bit. Picked up aluminum from their plant and take it to the Briggs & Stratton plant for making small engines. That was cool. Been about 25 years ago.
I'm getting eyes from the offices right now. He's like just looking at me like
he's ready for a snack. I'm sure he's ready for his treat.
No. If he was ready for that, he would be whining and barking and sitting there wagging his tail at me. Yeah.
Well, make sure. Do not forget. Put the link in for the book. Put the link in the description. So if anybody wants to,
it's already there.
Good.
And now it says instead of Steve has authored $3, it says Steve has authored $4. Of course, this one's on the top. So anyway, we will be back. Right. Well, for our members, we'll be back Wednesday night. And welcome to all the new members. If you love what you see, we're gonna keep going. We'll probably be doing another. We didn't do one last month. We're going to be definitely doing another classroom or a case breakdown. I think we're going to do it on Bigfoot cold case this month. So we'll be doing at least 2 member live streams this month, and we may be putting some raw video up of some investigation stuff, in addition to doing the live stream on Wednesday night about the investigation. And so it should be a really fun month coming up. And I love getting out, and that's what this case has done. So,
again, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We appreciate you guys over in chat, our regulars, and all the new members. Welcome. Gosh, thanks. And how many people donated memberships tonight?
Thank you so much, and join too.
Walter, Finding the Trackway, Mitch Hardgrove, Sandwich Savant, Jay Fritz, Jay gifted 5 memberships. Finding the Trackway gifted 5. Walter, 5. Mick, 5. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. Thrilled to death and honored to have you every week. Thank you guys.
Amen. And you, like I said, one of the joys I have of doing this channel is getting to know and spend time with my audience and talking and interacting, and it's always fun. So everybody have a great week. God bless. Stay safe. We'll see the members on Wednesday night. We'll see all the rest of you on Friday night with the Bigfoot evidence review. 9 p.m. Eastern. And of course, the members show is also at 9 p.m. Eastern as well. Yada, yada, yada. So anyway, everybody, have a great week. Peace. Love you guys. God bless. And we'll see you all in a bit. And Chewy, get better, buddy. So we'll see you all in a bit.
We thank you for being here with us on Squatch-D TV. If you haven't taken the time yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And oh yes, hit that notification bell too. We don't want you to miss anything. If you really like our content, you should consider becoming a member, and it's really inexpensive and a great way to support not only the show, but honest Bigfoot research. Everyone have a great week. Be safe and God bless. We will see you all here next time on Squatch-D TV. Keep on squatching.